let's just start at the beginning and let's just talk about how we got here in the first place.
Yeah.
My name is Emily D'Souza. I'm a fisheries scientist, content creator, and the co-founder of InnaSea Media.
My name is Bree Dwyer, and I'm a creative director with a background in wild fisheries, and I'm the co-founder of InnaSea Media.
If seafood wants to reach a different audience, then we need to market seafood differently. And that's exactly what we're doing. You know, maybe to understand a little bit better of what InnaSea Media is and what it is that we do, we can kind of go back to the beginning of how we ended up here because, you know, you and I have known each other, at least virtually, for a few years now. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think have followed each other's respective works, you know, me in this like science communication influencer space, you in the photography, videography, production side. And I think we both like recognize, oh, like she's doing something cool. And then we finally met in person and started riffing kind of like this.
Yeah. When you and I started following each other on social media, I think we both recognized a like-mindedness between the two of us.
I think from that first moment, it was like, we need to do something together. Like some of the gaps that, you know, I was talking about where I was like, you know, I'm in my business, you know, I'm one person and I'm doing X, Y, and Z, but people also want these things. And that's, you know, I can't always satisfy those things. And I feel like you were telling me the same things, you know, I'm doing X, Y, and Z and customers also want this. So how do we satisfy these objectives as individuals? And I think we realized like we have complementary skill sets, being able to produce visual assets, mobilize them, and like come up with a strategy on social media.
And that's where you and I kind of came in because you were moving, you know, more into the aquaculture space, working with more aquaculture companies. I was seeing you out on fish farms and I was like, man, like it would be really cool for me to kind of see what this is all about firsthand. I think that there's a lot of misinformation out there about the aquaculture space, just as there's a lot of misinformation about wild fisheries. And so I want to learn more because how do we actually work together rather than continuing to fight each other? Because this isn't actually going anywhere. It's making things a lot worse, quite frankly, for consumers. So how do we work together? You and I started talking. We recognized like shared experience, like-mindedness about the seafood industry, and then realized like, okay, well, we also have these complementary skill sets that can work together. That truly is like where this is like rooted in. You and I have different backgrounds, but a shared mindset in this is that the path forward truly is coexistence. We have to figure out how to get along, you know?
Yeah.
Like I said, we're all in the same boat, so we better start acting like it.
Yeah. And I think that really, you know, that is rooted at the end of the day in everything that we do. And our goal obviously is to provide these creative marketing and communication solutions. That's what InnaSea Media is. But I think even, you know, us coming together really represents this collaborative nature within the industry. And it's necessary. Like it's not a question of should these two coexist? Can they coexist? This is literally the only way forward. They have to coexist. And I think even you and I, like we could have buried our heads in the sand and been like, actually, I'm going to stay in my camp, you stay in yours, and I'm going to support you from a distance. And I'm never going to say anything one way or another because that's easier to not get entangled in the controversy of it. I remember even when I first stepped into the aquaculture space, I was insanely nervous about it because I knew that there's a lot of animosity towards it, especially, you know, things like farm salmon that have in the past not had the best reputation. But, you know, now I've learned over the last few years, have put in a lot of effort, resources, time, money, research into becoming more sustainable sources of protein production. You know, when I first started getting into salmon farming, I was nervous about the backlash, and there was some in the beginning, but I think again, overwhelmingly, the narrative was more so what you just said. People were like, actually, this is interesting. I've never actually seen a salmon farm before. You know, people have seen the same like horrific picture that people love to spread on the internet, but nobody's ever actually seen the process of salmon farming. And I think that was something that was insanely new, both for the seafood industry and for consumers. You know, me going out there, hey, I'm live on Instagram stories. There's no editing. There's no bullshit. This is just me. I'm learning alongside with you. And I remember going to that first salmon farm thinking I was going to uncover like all hell of like conspiracy theories and this was going to be the worst thing ever. And it was insanely cool. It was clean. It was innovative. It was full of young people who were like bushy-tailed, bright-eyed about the future of food production. And when I was showing that on camera live, no editing, just like, hey, come with me, people, I think even those who maybe had this hesitation towards farm salmon, towards farm seafood, towards maybe seafood in general, had this like awakening almost, where they're like, actually, this is interesting. Like, she's learning and I'm learning alongside with her. And this feels authentic and this feels organic. And I think we've now brought that into InnaSea Media and using that same, you know, formula and method with our clients here to take people behind the scenes and show them seafood like they haven't seen it before. Because the reality is this industry has not always been the most transparent. It's like we were talking about with supply chains. It's very convoluted. It's very messy. It's very opaque, and
fragmented
we need to change that. Like, there has been an erosion in consumer trust. I think that's very fair to say. And I think the only way to get that back is this like truly radical transparency and just completely pulling back the curtain and saying, let's show you, like, let's show you everything, what's going on. And we don't have things to be ashamed of. Like, like we have a great industry here with great stories. We should be sharing them.
Yeah. We don't have skeletons in the closet in the way that people think that we do.
No, exactly.
But yet there's still this kind of mindset of like, oh, well, we don't want consumers to know these things. And it's like, well, why not? That's actually really great. You know, like you should be showing them this.
And so
we came together
and we made
team.
an InnaSea baby. And that's the story of life, kids.